Hey everybody, Cartoon Fiend here. Now, I just want you to play along with me for a little bit. Now, just go ahead and close your eyes. It's okay, come on, nobody's watching. Alright, now close your eyes. Now I want you to think back. Think way back in the day in your childhood. You know, you're at school all week, and you're working hard, conjugating verbs and doing these math problems. And then the weekend comes, it's your one big release and your one thing you're looking forward to. And what's the most important thing out of the weekend? Saturday morning cartoons. As I recall, it was the only time of the week I voluntarily woke up early for anything. Just grabbing a giant bowl of your favorite cereal and being a slug in front of the TV for hours on end, watching your favorite action and comedy heroes on various adventures. Could it get any better than this? No way! But then, something happened. The Saturday morning cartoon started sucking. And I'm talking bad, like how bad? Like so bad that kids these days can't even understand why the term Saturday morning cartoon sounds appealing. So what went so wrong? How could something treasured by so many kids of a generation just float away like dust in the wind? Well, we're going to dig a little bit deeper and find out exactly what happened and what went wrong. Now I've got 3 theories, so come along with me and we're going to take a look at what happened. Alright, my first theory is regulation. See, in 1990, Congress passed the Children's Television Act. Saturday morning cartoons were attacked as junk food for the mind, and television stations were required to run a minimum amount of educational programming and report on the content of their children's program to the federal government. There was a constant harassment of parental groups, child psychologists, and just annoying do-gooders believing cartoons from everything from the rise of violence to immorality, also making claims that children were becoming unhealthy from eating all the junk food while sitting around for hours on end. Now if any of this was true, I'd have to agree, but it's not. Having them become unhealthy, increase in violence, and increase in immorality, I think if anything, kids nowadays are more unhealthy, more violent, and more immoral than ever. I mean, kids are freaking getting diagnosed with adult onset diabetes for crying out loud. So either way, these regulations obviously didn't work. And bottom line, don't blame the cartoons, blame the parents, because they're the ones responsible for their kids. You know, if your kid's watching a show that you think's too violent, don't let them watch it. If you think your kid's eating one too many cheeseburgers, don't let them eat it. And don't go to Congress to get a law passed. Gosh, what a bunch of crap. Alright, my second theory is the times have changed. Now this theory tends to make more sense. See, back in the days of the 80s and 90s, there weren't quite as many distractions for kids as there are today. Video games were just becoming mainstream, recording devices for television were pretty primitive, and the internet was not even close to what it is today. Anime has also become increasingly popular. Sure, there were a few gems like Robotech, Thundercats, and Voltron, but the popularity of anime is nothing in comparison to what it is today. Kids didn't quite know where to find it, and it was pretty rare. But now, it's just about everywhere, and it's a fad sweeping the nation. On top of all that, there are cable networks dedicated to cartoon shows. Kids can pretty much get entertainment wherever they want. The thought of waking up early for kids these days just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, all their avenues for entertainment are spread out throughout the week, and they can just get it pretty much wherever they want. As for us when we were kids, it was pretty much consolidated to one 4 to 5 hour block. Now my last point on this theory kind of flows into my third theory, and that's that shows have to be marketable. Now the one thing that we really never thought of as kids is that above all, cartoon making is a business and it needs to make sense, and if it's not marketable, it's not going to bring in money. So the more sense a show makes, the more audience it's going to bring in, and the more money it's going to bring in. And on top of that, it needs to be able to spread to other avenues like video games, toys, and possibly movie deals. So producers were getting a little conservative with what shows they were picking, because if it wasn't marketable, then they weren't going to fund it. And this brings me to my third and final theory. Unoriginality. Alright, let's take a quick glimpse back to the good old days. What were the most popular shows on at the time? Let's see. You got Ninja Turtles, Batman the Animated Series, X-Men, Transformers, and I would say near the end of my childhood I'd throw in Pokemon. Now what are the most popular shows these days? Ninja Turtles, Batman, X-Men, Transformers, and Pokemon. Can you possibly get any lazier? Now I realize you need something that's marketable and you know will make money, but simply recycling classic shows and not taking a risk on new ideas? Come on. Now granted, there are a few shows that have come along that I enjoy, like Avatar and Invader Zim, but seriously people, take a chance. Try something new. Now to go back to Invader Zim real quick, why did no other channel pick this show up when it got canceled? It was one of the most innovative and entertaining shows to come out in a long, long time. I would think this would be perfect on something like Comedy Central. You know, it's a little eclectic, it wasn't quite meant for Nickelodeon and that kind of age group, but on Comedy Central it would have been perfect. It makes no sense why this show didn't get picked up by somebody else. Now I can't speak for kids of today because they might actually like the cartoons they're watching. I mean, they don't know any better, they don't know what they're missing out on. Now, I wouldn't say that cartoons today are completely dead. They're getting pretty close, but they're not completely dead. But what is dead is the whole Saturday morning feeling. That time where you just escape from reality and you just get engrossed in a world of adventure and wonder. Now, I think this quote from an NBC spokeswoman, Lisa Burks, makes a lot of sense. She says, quote, "What's dying is the institution of Saturday mornings, not cartoons for kids, which are more vigorous than ever, just spread all over the dial and at all times during the week. The only thing that kids today have lost is the central unifying ritual of getting up at 6 a.m., getting sugary cereals, getting totally hyper, and watching the same programs 50 million other kids are watching." Now, I read another quote recently that might perfectly sum up this entire situation. It says, quote, "Saturday morning isn't a time of day, it's a state of mind." And I think that's what's dead and that's what we miss. That feeling of freedom and that time of enjoyment where all our pieces of entertainment come together into one 5-hour block. You know, kids today, all the pieces of entertainment, their favorite shows, their favorite whatever, it's all spread out throughout the week. There is no Saturday morning block anymore. So, I still stand by my 3 theories that, you know, if cartoon makers really take them into account and put it into work, cartoons could become even better. But overall, obviously, cartoons aren't what they used to be. They could use a little work, but it's not as bad as it might seem. So, what do you say we cut them a little slack? This has been the Cartoon Fiend, reminding you that if you're not having fun, it's probably your own darn fault. Or, in this case, the government's.